Are you truly living life or merely surviving? Whether you want more time, more love, more money, or whether you want it all, we want to help you get there. The best part? Everything you want lies on the other side of fear and self-doubt. It's time to take the leap with your host, Tiffany Toombs.
All right, everyone, welcome back for this week's episode of Take the Leap, and I am honored to be joined by Nani Bernal. She is an amazing woman, an up-and-comer in the coaching space, super motivational. I'm so glad that Facebook connected us. Nani, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm super, super excited. Like, not for nothing, but this is such an honor. Like I told you when you originally asked me, because you're a woman in power and you're someone that I definitely idolize in this field. So thank you for having me. This is super dope.
I'm excited to have you here. It was when you sent me the message telling me that you were fangirling, I was like, yes, my first fangirl.
Yeah, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, you know what? I'm totally fangirling right now, and I'm gonna let her know, because I was freaking out when you asked me. I was like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, this is super exciting. But I didn't put it on the status to let people know I was fangirling, but now you guys know I was fangirling.
Well, it was a nice moment for me, because I think as we go on this journey and we're doing what our heart or our soul calls us to do, that we forget that we are making an impact on other people, especially when you're wading through the waters of having to deal with haters or, I've constantly been on the move for this year so far. And so I haven't even had a moment to stop and take a breath to actually take stock on the people that I'm impacting. So that was a nice reminder for me to stop and take a breath once in a while. So thank you for that.
No problem. I like to do that because I know that a lot of people have been doing that for me. And when I get it done to me, I'm like, wow, I'm so used to having a bad impact on people because of my past, that to have someone tell me, thank you, your words this morning inspired me, or oh my God, I totally couldn't believe you responded back. And I'm thinking who am I? But obviously to these people, I'm someone, and I make sure that I make it a point to let others know how I feel towards them, because it's a good feeling, and it's true. Sometimes you don't realize it. And then when someone tells you, you're like, wow, I am doing a lot, thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. So there we go. We're already into the first lesson and we haven't even fully introduced you yet. So tell us about you.
Well, my name is Azohani Bernal. A lot of people know me as Nani. Right now, I tell most people that I'm going on a journey to figure out who Azohani is. And this road I'm taking is my destiny to meet her. I'm 24 years old. I have a little girl. She's 5, based in South Florida. And right now I have 3 current businesses. I first started off with Innovative Moving Solution, which is my moving brokerage. We help with state-to-state, local, and international moving. It's kind of something that I'm backing off on as I get into my other verticals. I recently just got into a marketing and consulting company for movers that, since I can't get through to these customers, I figured why not try to get through to the consumers that are helping these customers out, to try to make the moving industry a little bit better, like I did with Innovative. But right now what I'm really, really passionate about is the business that I just made official last week. And it's InPower. It's an accountability group where I help individuals stay accountable for 3 areas in their life: business, personal, and wellness. And so far it has been the most fulfilling journey. And that's pretty much a little bit about me. I'm super energetic, and I'm definitely passionate. I got to drive. And my main goal, like I've been telling people, is my mission's people. And I want to make sure that I take my story and I can, have an impact on others.
Beautiful. Do you want to share your story here with everyone?
Yeah, I'm down. Go.
Cool. Go for it.
All right. So how did my story start? It's a long one. So I've always had a go-getter mentality, and not because, I've always had it bad. I tell people I think it's a lot worse to have something and then have it all taken away from you. When I was younger, my parents were together, and I never tell the story how it is, but I'm going to be really honest with your viewers. So my parents were together for about 23 years. I have a couple brothers and sisters. We've always had a good home. My mom was a great example, and my dad was a great example, because they showed me what, you know, a true family is supposed to be. You know, they had businesses, they gave us everything we wanted. But along those lines, I always saw my mom and my dad towards my older years of being a child, having their fights and their mishaps. And I always saw my mom stood her ground. And a real changing point for me in my life was when my mom and dad decided to break up. Me and my dad were always, like, I always say, like, I'm his favorite. But now I truly believe it. But me and him always had a really good relationship. And when I saw my parents getting divorced, I didn't really understand it. And I remember my dad telling me as I helped him pack up like his stuff into the car, and I will vividly remember this. This summer, my mom just renovated the whole house for him, made a big gift for him when he came back from Colombia, and it didn't go out as planned. The following day when he came back home, he was leaving. And I didn't understand it. And I remember helping him pack up everything into the expedition and him looking at me and basically telling me, you know, you're not going to understand things right now, but I promise you, like, nothing was intentional. And, like, I love you. And I just kind of, you know, stuck with me where I'm like, what wasn't intentional? Like, what is he talking about? Like, leaving me? Like, obviously, this is intentional. Like, you're packing your shit. Like, you're leaving me and my mom. Like, what the hell? You know, not understanding. So, in a way, I kind of blame myself. I'm like, man, what if I was a better daughter? Like, man, what if I helped my mom more? You know, when you're young, like you're thinking a kid mentality. You know, my dad left and I was broken. And I didn't see him for about 2 weeks. But within those 2 weeks, probably the worst thing in my life could happen. My godparents came down and my mom finally told me that she wanted me to come in the room with my sisters and my brothers, and she wanted to have a talk with us. And we come in the room. And I remember seeing my aunt, because we kind of lived together, my dad's family and my family. We had a big home, like a 10-bedroom home. We broke down the middle of the wall in the duplex so we could be together. And I remember looking at my aunt. She's freaking hysterical. And my mom is just looking at me so, like, broken. And I'm thinking, like, who died? Like, you know what I mean? Like, someone died. Like, there's no way. Like, someone died. And my brothers and sisters are kind of looking at me. So I'm like, all right, they obviously know something. Who died? Like, literally, that's what I'm like, who died? There's no way my dad died. And I remember my mom telling me, she's like, Nani, ask your aunt whose kid is her kid. And I look at her, I'm like, oh, it's Tijani? And, like, I have a little cousin. She's like, yeah. And I look and I'm like, whose kid is she? Like, who's her dad, you know, ideally? And she just kept crying. And my mom was like, says her name, Mariah, like, who's Sujani's father? Tell my girls. And I looked at her and she tells me, my dad. And I kind of was like in a shock for a second. And I remember, like, literally, like, you know, that ring you hear in your ears, like, dee, like I remember that ring in my ears. And I remember, like, everything just, like, sounding like a bunch of noise and, like, people talking. And, like, I literally was just, like, stuck. And I looked at her and I asked her again, like, wait, no. Like, who's her dad? And she said it. She's like, Victor. And it literally, I remember that feeling of, like, your whole world crashing, but you're still in it. And, like, kind of feeling like hopeless because I'm so young. So what can I do? What can I say? What can I do differently? And then instantly everything starts rushing through my head, like trying to think of memories of them together, looking at my little sister, like, well, my little cousin, that's my little sister. And, like, thinking these last 2 weeks, what's going on? Like, my dad leaving so soon and, like, my godparents coming down and, like, everything's starting to piece to me and hell broke loose. I have 2 older sisters, a little sister. I have 3 older brothers. One of them's a half brother, so he wasn't involved with this. But I remember them saying, call my older brother. And my brothers and sisters are, like, everywhere. And I remember them saying, call my older brother. They called my older brother. I think that's what really hit me. Like, this was real. Like, my dad actually slept with his sister. Like, there's actually a baby involved. Like, this lady has been in my mom's house for almost 20 years. My mom has raised her. They've made this child they made my mom the god to this baby. Like, I've put in my head that this is my sister. Like, she's had cancer. She's had a kidney disease. Like, this girl has gone through hell. And like, now it's making sense that it's because of them. And when they called my brother, for some reason, it broke me. Like, when my brother was like, what's wrong? Because it's like 3 a.m. and he was in Arizona. So it's like 1 a.m. his time. He's like, what's wrong? And like, my mom tells him, my brother just yells. And like, it was just like such a devastating yell, like as if someone died, you know? And to be so young and to witness all of that, it was kind of unbelievable. My mom went crazy for about 3-4 days, like literally like crazy. Like, I remember after she told my brother, like, all I remember is my big sister, like, grabbing me and my little sister and telling us, like, let's go across the street, because they lived across the street. And I could just remember hearing, like, glass shattered everywhere, just glass, and things dropping. And I hear my mom yelling hysterically. And I remember pushing my sister and telling her, like, no, like, I got to see what's going on. And I remember opening that door, and I couldn't believe I opened it. I walked into a hell scene, you know, like, I see my mom broken, like the woman that like is so unfair to be broken once again to, because my mom's lived a very like hard life, you know. It's not my business to put her business out there, you know, so I'm not going to get into details, but my mom has lived a very hard life. So to see this woman that I look up to see my backbone, to see my rock actually break, like I've never seen her break, you know, and to see her break, she's on the ground in blood basically, because, you know, she's breaking all this glass, it's all with her hands, and she's crying. And I remember trying to talk to her, and it was like she was lost. Like, she lost it for like 3 days, you know? And I remember just seeing that image and just being sent to my sister's house. And from that day, I probably wasn't the same, like, ever again. With that coming on in our life, that took a lot of events. My mom and my dad had businesses where they didn't see eye to eye with each other. They were very childish, obviously the reason of what happened. So my dad was very against my mom. He just purchased us a house that he was trying to get us evicted from. He took all the money out of all the accounts. My older brothers and my older sisters kind of went off, like living their life at that time. So they kind of left me hanging with my mom and my little sister. And from there, it was like kind of a survival mode. I literally went from having it all to like, hey, like, you got to grow up real fucking quick. Like, you got to get it together, because right now your mom's broken, you're broken, and you got to set an image for your little sister. And right now, the hardest part is that the people that I want there for me, they're all turning against my mom. My dad's family turned against all of us, like as if we were nothing to them. And, you know, they picked us up every weekend. My brothers and sisters, they kind of are going through their own thing, but they don't really got an understanding of what's going on. So they left. And it was more like just me and my sister and my mom. And instead of, I guess, being a better daughter, I just let my brokenness take me, you know. It went from seeing my dad care about us to seeing my dad wanting us to get out of this house, to seeing my mom have to pull her car up in the front so the water could turn back on. So in the middle of the night, she would open up the cable box, put the wiring back together, you know what I mean? So we could have some light. It went from like my mom telling us, you know, don't worry, I got money, to like really literally seeing my mom buy us some food and her not eat for like a week. And then a big factor with this was like the people that did us the worst, which was my aunt and them, they were trying to ask for forgiveness right away. And because my mom had no one, she kind of had to accept it. And her doing that really hurt me. It really put me through some changes, because I had to be okay with someone that I wasn't okay with. This lady just ruined my fucking life, you know? Around that time, I had a really good friend, and I started selling drugs, a lot of it. And I'm like 12 years old, 13 years old, and I'm selling drugs because I see my mom struggling. She wouldn't complain when she would see the money, you know, just put over there, but she would complain when she would see me doing it. And in this same year, I had a really, really good friend pass away because of my negligence, because of my drug selling. My friend got shot, best friend, and he got shot in front of me. Reasoning was because we were doing a drug deal and I was about to get robbed. He stepped in front of the bullet for me and literally passed away right in front of me. I tried everything to save him and nothing worked, obviously. And that happening to me really, really fucked me, because it was a point where I'm like, wow, like I don't got my dad now. Like my whole childhood to me is a lie. Because now it's like he was with my mom for 23 years, but he was also with her for like 13. And now my bestest friend, the one person that like I can go to, my go-to, my main man, you know, and the worst part was he wasn't even selling drugs. He wasn't even into it. He was just going with me so he could protect me, you know, and I never really understood when someone's like, I'll take a bullet for you. That meaning to me is a whole nother level because I've had someone take a bullet for me. And I wish I could take it back every day, you know, because I wish I could have my friend. And it was something that I dealt with on a really bad level. I blame myself for a lot of it. And 1 second, I got to. This guy's just looking at me on my window. All right,
go ahead.
So it was a big changing point for me, you know. When that happened, I just went completely like, there's no God. And there's no reason for me to really be here. I was like, you know, my purpose now, like, I don't even know. It's more unclear than anything in this world. When that happened, I got into drugs, a lot. I started getting into drugs. I started getting into fights. I started, you know, stealing, really living into this lifestyle that I was living up to. That's why I'm kind of trying to transition from the name Nani, because everyone knows Nani as, you know, I have a tattoo in my lip that says hot girl. Okay. That's how like deep into that bad lifestyle I was in. And like everyone knows Nani as that hot girl, you know, and recently I went to church and I learned that you live your title, you live your name, like you live your life by your name. Like you're going to live up to your titles. And like Nani was a drug dealer. Nani was this loser that, you know, was hot headed, would rob you, was so broken, was so like mad. And like she created this figment that everybody was against her. And like that's what I lived up to. I lived up to being baddest bad person, you know, and going through those changes really has helped me figure out who I am and what my calling really is. I've lost a lot of friends as well along the way from drugs. You would think that would open my eyes. Didn't. It just made me want to do more. And big game changer for me was my daughter. I found out at 18 that I was pregnant after I dropped out of school. So I was really living my name, Nani, the drug dealer, Nani, the loser. Now Nani, she just dropped out and now she's having a kid. And when that happened to me, when I found out I was pregnant, it honestly was just like, fuck, like really, like, this title, like I really just dropped out. I really got nothing going for me. And now I have a kid. Like, there you go, Nani. Like, you just really lived up to it. And when I found out I was having my kid, you would think I would change my lifestyle a little bit, right? I didn't. And that's how I knew I really didn't care for myself, right? And I really didn't love myself because I still continue to smoke. I still continue to sell drugs. I still continue to live my lifestyle. And it took me having my child and seeing someone else love my kid more than me to realize, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know, and one of the questions I believe that was asked was, you know, when was your leap? And my leap, I have two of them. I have a leap where I had to say no to my life that I was living. Like I literally one day got up and my door almost got kicked in while my little girl's sleeping, and it's going to get kicked in because someone wants my drugs. And that was the day I was like, nah, like this is not the life I'm going to live. Like this is not the name I'm going to live up to. Like there's no way in hell that I'm going to let this story be my story. Like, fuck no. So I took a leap by saying no to selling drugs and just completely leaving. The day my house almost got kicked in, I remember looking at my girlfriend at the time and telling her, like, you know, pack all her shit. I'll be back. And I went to Plantation and I looked at apartments all day. I found one. I put a down payment for about a year on it. And I literally came back to my house, and Plantation at the time was probably like 40 minutes from where I was at. I didn't tell anybody, not even my parents. I packed up the whole entire house and I just left. I called everyone that, you know, I did my deals with, the houses that I had, and I went and visited everything, cleared it out. And everyone's like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm going to be back in a little bit. Gonna go get some more stuff. That's what everyone thought. Like, I'm going to go get some more stuff. Don't worry. And like, I just literally disappeared. And that was the day I took a leap because I was like, I don't want to live this life no more. And like, I don't want to sell drugs no more. I don't want to do drugs no more. I don't want to be drunk every day, drinking myself to sorrow. I'm fucking 19 years old, 20 years old. Like, imagine the life that I got going for me if I keep doing this. And that was the day I took a leap on like saying, no, like this isn't my story.
Wow.
So a little about me, a little bit. Try to fill in as much as possible, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a fucking lot. And I want to say this,
definitely.
This is the first time I really said my story with like the actuality of it rather than using, my dad slept with somebody. Like I want to be honest with you guys. Like I'm being completely open because I know that you're 100% authentic. So I don't want to give the viewers something that's not real, So
thank you. Thank you for buying into my core values for this one as well. And that's a really powerful story. And I think it just it's a testament to you for the strength of your soul and your character at 19 to pull yourself out of that. Yeah. I see people, that I went to high school with or that I knew growing up who in their 30s are still living that life and don't recognize, and they have multiple kids and they don't recognize the position that they're putting their kids and themselves into. So you said that you've taken 2 leaps. What was the second one?
So the second leap in my life was actually recently. You would think that my first business was my actual leap because I'm like, oh my God, I got a first business. But no, that first business ender was someone else's leap. They asked me to open a business. I didn't want to open one. My second leap is actually starting with InPower because InPower is completely out of my field of what I'm used to. I'm so used to chasing the money and so used to sales and being the best sales rep or being the best salesperson in the room that I forgot the sight of what I was really chasing. And when I got into the ambassador group, which is Grant Cardone's 10X group, without knowing, like, it really changed my perspective on seeing that I don't have to live the old slate I got. I have a completely new slate and people see you differently. And this story that people know you as like, oh, she's a piece of shit. Other people are going to be like, holy shit, she's an impact, like, holy shit, she got a story, and I didn't see that. I saw my story as like, oh man, I can't let no one know who I was. But then when I had a breakdown one day on a live in the group and I saw how many strangers, like, no lie, Tiffany, like 50 plus people wrote me a message saying like how amazing my story is and like how beautiful my journey is and like rooting me on, like telling me like you're somebody, like I love you, like I'm proud of you, like thank you so much. Or like people that were like, I relate with this. Like when I saw that and I'm like, wow, like I got something going. Like, so my story isn't, a bad thing. My story is what made me, like, and that's when I started realizing, I'm like, wow, like this isn't a bad thing. Like I am who I am. Like behind my brokenness is a blessing, and with blessings come brokenness. Like, you know what I mean? And my second leap was doing InPower because 45 days ago, this was just an idea to bring people together. And now I have 40 people that I'm holding accountable to, setting their goals. And to me, it's something that's completely out of my field. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for so long, but I was so scared to. And now I took a leap to doing it. And I've worked my ass off for a while. And this has been the most content I've been, like fulfilled as a person.
Awesome. I love it. So what has been your biggest lesson on your journey?
I would say ego. Ego will kill your dreams more than people do. And I say that because a lot of times we think, oh man, that guy didn't let me live my potential. Or, oh man, that stopped me. But it's like, nah, like you stopped you. Like my ego would have prevented me from doing so many things, but I was so non-coachable. And like, that's why I related with that live you did the other day when you were saying like, you got to be coachable because there's so many things you're missing out on, so many lessons that you're putting yourself through because you don't want to take that little bit of criticism or that little bit of value. And a lot of the time I saw it as people are critiquing me, and I didn't see it as, no girl, like they're not critiquing you. They're giving you some value. Like they're telling you what can make you better. And like my ego got me into bad partnerships because my brother's a business attorney. He reviews contract for businesses. And because I didn't look at a contract like I told my mom I did, and like I told my brother I had it under control, I got myself into a bullshit partnership. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to step out and ask for help. I pulled out a fucking crazy loan on my innovative business. And it's been the reason why I've been working so hard and pushing so hard because I'm like, I got to pay this back, I've suffered in the sense of vulnerability. Like I wasn't vulnerable and not realizing that vulnerability is not a weakness. Like I want to say that to everybody. Vulnerability is not a weakness. And I hate that society makes it look like it's one because it's not. Like the person person that's the most vulnerable in the room is going to get further places than the person that's not vulnerable. And the reason why is they're not afraid to ask for help. They're not afraid to say, hey, I need this right now. What can you help me do to get to the next level? Or they're not afraid to be like, yeah, I don't understand this, but can you explain it so I can actually understand? And me, I was like, I'm going to figure this out. No, I'm going to figure it out. No, I'm going to figure it out. And like, to this day, I still do it with some, but it's not more of like, I'm really figuring it out on my own. I just tell the person at the time, like, I'm going to figure it out. And then like, I'm writing my friends like, all right, so what do you think I should do with this? Do you think this is going to go down? So, it's still, just a pride thing because you always want to look right, but ego will really kill your dreams more than people will. And I would say, with ego, you don't have a clear mind, and to do business and to, do business even with yourself, you have to have a clear mind. Clarity opens doors.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with you. I'm reading an interesting book right now called Leadership and Self-Deception, and there's so much ego at play in this book for people who are self-deceptive, which is really all of us.
Yeah.
Deceive ourselves at some point in time. So
definitely. I agree with that 100%. And it's so cool that like I'm fangirling right now because we got the same mindset. So it's cool.
Just making my day all over again. So what's been your biggest win on your journey?
Okay. So I actually wrote down this answer down because it was something that I really, really thought about, and I don't want to say it incorrectly. So my biggest win, and it's going to sound cliche, but it's real. My biggest win has been my growth every day. I'm learning to become better. And before, I lived a life of being so stagnant and not embracing growth that I was losing for so long for not growing. And I would say my biggest win is my growth process, because let's say, used to bring people together for bad things. And now I'm able to do a mastermind on Saturday, Friday, and Wednesday and bring people together to grow. And to me, that's a win. And that's how I celebrate it, because I'm bringing growth to others as I'm bringing growth to myself. And that has been the biggest blessing for me, because it has opened up so many opportunities, and I could see how many people I'm helping. So I celebrate my growth, and how I do that is bringing people together.
Awesome. I love it. And so last question for you, what advice would you have for somebody wanting to take the leap? So anybody that's listening to this, maybe they have a story similar to you, or maybe they have a completely different story. They're sitting on the fence. They're feeling pulled to do this thing, and self-doubt and fear is popping up. What would you say to them?
It's not about how you start. It's how you finish. Like, the dream snatchers are going to always kill you with the noise. They're going to tell you like how your story started. You can't do it. Don't believe them, because it's not how you start. It's how you finish. Like, look at how I started. And like, I come from a story where I'm not saying, oh, my mom did this to me and my dad did this to me. I did this to myself. And a part of what did to me started it, but a lot of the path I took, I know right or wrong. And it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And if I listened to all the people that told me like, no, Nani, it's how you start and this is how you're going to finish, I wouldn't be here right now. I would probably be in a rehab center. I would probably be in jail, or I'd probably be on the street right now, sincerely. Like, and it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And that quote has taken me to so many levels. It's taken me to a transition, and it's helping me get to my transformation. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Don't let someone steal your dream.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I'm so excited to watch your journey as InPower continues to grow and develop, and as you continue to grow and develop. So thank you so much for joining me. And where can people on this podcast find you?
They can find me on my Instagram. It's Azohanie. I'll send it over to you so you have it. And they can find me on Instagram for InPower Tribe. You'll be able to see, updates of my people in my community. You'll be able to find me on Facebook, where I have a free Facebook group. So you can kind of congregate together and see how like-minded individuals think. And make sure that you find me on Fridays for a weekly mastermind. It's free, 5:30 Eastern time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And all that contact info will be in the show notes as well, so people can just click the link and find you. Thank you again so much for joining me. It's been so great. And thank you for being fully authentic in sharing your story. I'm honored that this is the first place that it's going to air.
Yeah.
And for everyone watching this, it's time to let go of the self-doubt, fear, and anything else that's holding you back. And it's time to take the leap into your best life. The world needs it. You need it. And everything will be so much better when you just take that leap. Join us next week for a brand new episode, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.